Ni hao annyeong. Hello, I am the Dark Fae, and welcome back to Confessions of a First-Time Dungeon Master. As always, if you missed the last session, I'll put a link to it up in the corner over here. You can go find out what you missed, come back here, and find out what happened next. We are now on session 33. Let's begin. Alright, so after the very marathon combat session of last time, the party is now in Lovos, which is the capital of the nation of Prill. So Prill is sort of the part of the world that is in dedication to Zenaria, the Dark Dancer, kind of inspired by the dancer from Dark Souls 3, the dancer of the Boreal Valley. And so she's kind of the goddess of assassins and trickery, and this kind of series of cities is kind of ruled by something of a shadow organization called the Grim Knives, which are the covenant of Zenaria. But anyway, so they've arrived in Lovos, and Ferney is there to kind of greet them and escort them to the headmistress's tower. So here they're going to get the details sort of the quest that they're going to go on, because the Grim Knives operating with outsiders is not a normal thing that's done. So Ferney has mentioned before that this is going to be a much more sort of official kind of contract. So they reach the headmistress's office, and this is Headmistress Arelda Lunes, who is kind of she's the head of all of the different factions of the Grim Knives. So the leaders of the Grim Knives are called Ravens. The group of Ravens is called the Unkindness, so she's kind of the leader of the Unkindness of Prill. And so now they kind of get to explaining the task and discussing repayment and writing up this magical contract that the group will need to sign in order to undergo this this mission. So I actually did draw up a contract. Since we're a little bit further ahead, I'm a bit behind recording these, but so I actually have drawn it up now. In very difficult to read writing, but I'll explain it. So basically, Headmistress Arelda, she kind of conjures up an illusion of this large, kind of dark tower that has appeared on the northern edge of, not the northern edge, and kind of north of the city of Wolishk. You could change the map. North is the city of Wolishk, and it's kind of this dark, made of this dark kind of obsidian stone, kind of goes straight up and then points at the top, and there are these jagged kind of spikes sticking out and all haphazardly in different directions and sizes from this tower. And surrounding the tower is this kind of dark, creepy kind of mist or aura that kind of enshadows it and makes it kind of hard to see. And coming out from the tower as well are these kind of furrows in the ground that kind of look like spokes of a wheel, that is actually like a maze that kind of goes underground and comes back up again, that one needs to navigate in order to get to the tower. Essentially, the headmistress describes that the Favorable Five, which is the group's name, their task is to infiltrate the tower, find the owner of it, who is Sinkane the Frightful, find him, and kill him. So Sinkane the Frightful has kind of been the driving force behind a lot of Wolishk's movements towards Prill, because they're trying to kind of take over that territory. So it's like somewhat of like a political intrigue kind of a mission, and B, kind of just he's a very dangerous, somehow magical force that needs to be eradicated from this part of the world. So, so then now they kind of hash out the details of this task a little bit, and as well as like the repayment for the group. The group has kind of already agreed to do this for Ferney, but so I don't think they felt like they were trapped into it or anything like that. At one point they did ask, like, why did you decide to ask us? And to which Ferney kind of replies, well, you offered. And they're like, right, why did we show up to a task that we were that we volunteered for, kind of a thing. So the parameters of the contract basically is that the 5 will have to infiltrate the tower, find Sin Kane, kill him, and bring back proof of their kill. So either like the head or the brain or the heart or like the hands, the eyes, and I think I said half of the ribcage. They have to bring those back. Higher rewards will be given for more pieces or for any kind of scripture or writings or any like evidence of Sin Kane's plans or like origins, any possible like other allies that he's working with, stuff like that, since not a whole lot is really known about him or where he came from or how he suddenly appeared here in Woloshk, and as well as kind of what his powers are. The group has kind of run into his influence before when they attacked the warehouse back in this episode that I don't remember but can go look up, when they faced kind of an ogre and an Etten that seemed to have some sort of aura around them of like fear, and then these shadows came up and attacked the group. Something along the lines of dark, creepy, mystery magic that seems to also deal with affecting the mind and potentially driving people insane. The headmistress does mention that the people of Ramur, which is a city further south and closer to Woloshk, has been experiencing signs of kind of insomnia and nightmares and ill effects of the mind, and to Basil especially, and to the group. He's kind of giving off warning bells because it's a very similar feel to what happened with the Drowned Guardian. So they might find out if there's any connection there. There's also kind of an NDA that comes with this contract, in that the Grimknives and the party are expected to deny like all association with each other and to never speak of like this plan or this undertaking to anybody else outside of the group and the headmistress and Ferney, essentially. If they don't do this, well, there might be consequences because this is a magically binding contract. So then in return, now the unkindness or Prill will essentially provide them with a few things to help them with this journey. So this is 2 spell scrolls of Cure Wounds, 1 of Mass Healing Word and 1 of Mass Cure Wounds. And spell scrolls of that level can get pretty expensive. So I'm offering my players a lot in order to make it, because this is a very serious mission and a very serious task, and the Grimknives don't fuck around. So, and then as well as like any improved armor, not like +1, but like if they want to change out their light, medium, or heavy armor or their weapon type, that's fine. And then also they will have help, so they'll have 5 agents to kind of lead them or escort them to the tower and hopefully keep them alive when they get there. So that's kind of bonuses or like things to help them, but the actual reward now is 7,500 gold. Players first thought I said like 2,500, but no, 7,500 gold, which would be 1,500 gold apiece. 1 magic item, or I kind of have been giving them this option where they can take a magic item or take like an additional extra magic item, but like subtract its cost from their gold reward. I think I've been giving them a lot of magic shit lately. I think I need to tone that down a little. But 1 magic item, and then magical transport to their destination. There's also an assassination kind of thrown in there, but I don't think the players don't really take it, so it's not really included. And then the 5 can also keep any resources, like any of the spell scrolls or armor that they had used in the completion, or that they had taken in completing this task but hadn't used before. And then they do complete this successfully. They will also have an opportunity, if they want, to potentially be initiated into the Grimknives as like a covenant. So being part of a covenant kind of affords you special resources or access to areas that might not be afforded to common folk, or special quests that might not be available otherwise. This one gets you quite a bit of resources and help from the unkindness and the Grimknives in general. So I'll be interested to see if any of them will take them up on that offer. And so essentially the contract kind of ends with any failure to complete this task will result in like the negation of all payment and all resources that were given, and they will still deny any association with the Favor of Five, and the Five are expected to not speak about this either. The reason for all the secrecy, they are kind of a secret organization, and they're afraid that Sincane potentially has abilities to kind of probe into your minds, and they are trying to keep their secrets from falling into his hands, essentially. So, with that kind of laying it all out, the party takes a little bit of time to kind of discuss kind of like what they want, and like then to do some preparations. See, Fernay. Oh, actually, when they leave, they did mention because in the headmistress' office they had talked a little bit of kind of about Wisteria and about their encounters with her, and they brought up Cathan Ilias, who is a wizard that has gone missing after making a journey up north to try and meet with an exorcist or something that can maybe help with Basil's ring problem. So that is still very much an ongoing arc that I'm keeping track of, and Fernay has mentioned to them before that if they hear from Cathan to let her know, because currently sending and magic like that is not reaching him. She doesn't believe he's dead, but it's possible he could be. But because Headmistress Erelda knows everything that goes on in the Grim Knives, she basically mentions to Fernay that the Headmistress is holding her responsible for Cathan's disappearance. That might come into play later. Who knows? So after they leave the Headmistress's office, Fernay takes them to her office briefly, gives them a javelin of lightning that they had left at their last excursion to the warehouse, and then they go off and do kind of the prep that they need. Several of them go to visit a blacksmith to commission some armor with the dragon eel scales, so that will make an armor of resistance, which I toned down the cost of because they brought the materials to like 2,000 gold plus repairing Imric's breastplate. So they're going to pay with that with their funds that they get. And that will take like a week. A couple of them bought some potions, and then I believe that's it. And then they all kind of decided what magic item they wanted. They agreed on the Cloak of Displacement. They can put here, which is pretty dope. So after some switching around of equipment and stuff, they decided that they'd be ready in the morning. Avis kind of escorting them around the city, and Avis being the wizard that had teleported them there. And then I believe we left it off when they returned to the inn, kind of took a long rest. Oh, actually no, Basil did a thing as well. Basil contacted his mentor, whom he doesn't like very much, the Umbra Lord of Elithmalar, who is kind of the wizard who is in charge of all things schism and all things nightmare-y that goes on around there. Basically, Basil did a little bit of talking back to the Umbra Lord, saying that the next time we talk should be in person, and he's tired of like not getting answers. There is a very important reason for him for the Umbra Lord not being necessarily able, or having not given Basil these answers before. So I'm actually pretty excited for when they do go to Elithmalar and actually talk face to face. That'll be interesting. But he basically asks the Umbra Lord about anything related to Sincane, if they can give him any advice. The Umbra Lord Asmodeum Stria, he casts telepathic link on Basil because they're familiar, and then mentions a little bit of how this tower, that Sincane is an Oni, and an Oni is kind of like is a giant that has kind of been affected by dark magic. They very much have like a theme of like nightmares and illusions and shape-shifting kind of, and they're pretty like dark creatures, and they occasionally make pacts with dark wizards or something in order to gain more power. But so it's a little bit curious that this one seems to kind of have established its own sort of tower and like dominion over Wolishk. He also mentions that normally Onis are kind of like giants, like their creature type is normally, they're giants. But this one seems to have been like affected so much or been touched by something dark that's kind of turned it fiendish. So spells that protect it against fiends or abilities might help against it. He also mentioned that inside the tower, they believe are 6 floors, each one different, that they will have to get through in order to get to the top, where Sincane resides. So give him a little bit, tiny bit of insight into the tower and kind of Sincane's nature. But he does not know terribly a lot about Sincane, but more maybe of where he might have gotten his powers from. So with that, I think they took their long rest and then agreed that in the morning they would meet again with the headmistress, finalize the contract, and then head out on this quest. I think this is definitely this is the fastest, I think, session of like prep that they've done for a quest, which is kind of nice. It only took like one session, but introducing it and all stuff was part of it, so it's like half a session. So it was actually pretty quick. And efficient. And it's a little bit weird to feel like we're jumping into this, in my mind, like triple dungeon, 2.5 kind of dungeon crawls. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I'm excited to prep for this though. There's a lot of cool stuff I think that I can do, and hopefully it'll be like, it won't feel like more of the same stuff with like the Drowned Guardian, because there are still a lot of themes of madness and insanity and like dark shadowy magic, and I don't want to like overdo that too much, so we'll see how it goes. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you're excited as I am for this upcoming story arc. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for notifications when I put out my new videos. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!